The context in which Kenya operates, both domestically and within the regional and global arena, has changed significantly since the implementation of Vision 2030 began in 2022. Kenya now has a younger and increasingly urbanized population, creating growing demand for infrastructure, energy, housing, and social amenities. Regionally and across the continent, Kenya also faces increased competition, including from neighboring East African community countries, as nations pursue greater economic, infrastructural, and technological competition. The global competitive environment is therefore far more intense than it was in Vision 2030, when Vision 2030 was launched. Kenya cannot afford complacency. Sustained investment, innovation, competitiveness, and strategic foresight are essential to ensure that the country does not fall behind. Globally, we are faced with new realities in economic and political fragmentation of the multilateral system established after the Second World War. Geopolitical tensions have brought crisis to our land in ways we have never envisaged. It is high time we began a conversation on how we escape the disruptions, such as developments in the decades abroad. Thirdly, we have learned valuable lessons from the implementation of Vision 2030 that we need to apply in thinking about and implementing new long-term development vision for this country. Vision 2030 has guided us to some measure of industrialization, political stability, modern infrastructure. There is more to be done to enable us to transition to a high-income, high-value, resilient economy whose wealth is broadly shared among the citizens. There have been fair assessment of successes and challenges of implementation of Vision 2030 done by various state and non-state actors. Some of these assessments have gone further to attribute the limited achievement of Vision 2030 to certain explanatory factors, including but not limited to inadequate financial resources and a weak capacities for coordination and supervision of implementation. We will hear more of these perspectives in the course of this day and in future conversations. Let me at this point spell out a key feature of this conversation. First, it must remain a national and an inclusive conversation about Kenya. Despite the fact that general elections are due in just about a year, this conversation is not about the next general elections. Indeed, one of the lessons that Kenya must learn from the countries that achieved socioeconomic transformation in recent history, in Asia, for example, is that long-term development goals must not be disrupted by electoral cycles and the political leadership that such elections bring up from time to time. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to note that we do not have a plan yet at this time, except for some guidelines on how to produce it. This meeting is therefore the first step in a journey that must not be rushed. Let us give ourselves reasonable time to have an inclusive conversation among Kenyans regarding the future of our nation. Let us join this national conversation with open minds and a shared sense of purpose to imagine and craft our collective future as one Kenyan people and build consensus on how best to achieve our national goals for shared prosperity. Thank you very much. We are here to begin a national conversation on Kenya's development goals for the next few decades. Collectively, here and in all parts of this country, in the days to come, we want to build for the future. To build for the future, we must have a clear view of the future that we desire and commit ourselves to building it, block by block, until we achieve it. Many of us here today in this audience are perhaps asking themselves why this conversation is necessary at this time. Why now? There are three compelling reasons why this conversation should take place at this important time. First, our country has been guided by Vision 2030 as its long-term development plan since 2008. implemented through successive 5-year medium-term plans, covering the period 2023 to 2027, remains anchored on Vision 2030. But what happens after 2027? This is where medium-term plans becomes important. If Kenya simply develops another 5-year plan without first agreeing on the country's long-term destination beyond 2030, our planning process risks becoming another cycle of programs and projects without a sufficiently clear national direction. Vision 2030 was intended to transform Kenya into a newly industrializing middle-income country, providing a high quality of life to all its citizens in a clean and secure environment. With 2030 now just around the corner, it is necessary to take stock of how far we have so far come. Some of the challenges that Vision 2030 was designed to address have been substantially addressed, while others remain unresolved or become more complex. At the same time, Kenya now faces new challenges that were largely non-existent when the vision was conceived. In a global and regional environment that has changed fundamentally since the vision was unveiled more than 2 decades ago. It is therefore necessary to begin planning for the period beyond 2030 and allow sufficient time to formulate our new long-term development goals through an inclusive, consultative, and participatory process in keeping with the Constitution requirement for meaningful public participation.